Days off are really cool for the sense that they give us a way to retract from all of our daily obligations, and they give us perspective. They're not cool in the sense that if we do too many of them, or if we allow ourselves to slip away from what we're expected to do by our own moral conscience, that they can actually rob us of the enjoyment that we get from contrast. Stated another way, if we don't take those days off as anomalies, and we don't make sure that we don't get too comfortable, all of that work that we've done to give us that time, and all of the things that we have built up about ourselves, the data in terms of performing to the level that we want to, it goes out the window. And it's something that I think our society really needs to hear. At the end of the day, my friend, if you want to be successful in how America is perceived currently, it comes down to how much money you have and probably the quality of relationships that you have. And that relationship qualification, it comes down to whether or not you have people in your corner that trust you day and night and are willing to spend their time and their resources to make the things that we want to be realities in this world actually realities. So people that are willing to vie for us, our tribe in a sense. As far as the money thing's concerned, I always tell people, I'm like, there's no amount of money in this world that will be able to buy your soul, for instance. That shouldn't be really the case. But there should be an amount of money in this world that will buy you the amount of freedom, social freedom, and the opportunity freedom to go and live life the way that you really are meant to live it. You're the only one that's really going to know that at the end of the day. So I always say aim really high, make a money goal that you don't even know you can hit. The reason is because money is one of those essential things that we kind of need in order to do the very basic stuff in Western society. Basic stuff like eating, like choosing our mates, like having a place of comfort that we can feel safe in, like novelty, access to novelty, things that make us feel that life is actually worth living. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that if you spend all of your time, if we spend all of our time gunning after the money thing, that we will necessarily have the access to the opportunities and the type of person that we want to be. Because, like anything, too much of something is not good. So if we spend so much of our time thinking about money and we forget to think about the love that we want to establish or the relationships that we want to establish or the experiences that we want to have, then we're not going to have trained the muscle of freedom. And freedom is earned in every sense. Like, to a degree, in order to have freedom, we need to be a philosopher. To be a logical philosopher of our own lives, we need to have spent the time and energy and resources to accrue enough information about the world around us and about how brilliant human beings have perceived it in order to make the most sense of how we should spend our time. So it's not easy enough. It's not a good thing to just go head first into the money stuff and not worry about anything else for years and years and years. But it is good to be able to concentrate on something and get that result that we want. That's probably one of the more important lessons to give ourselves as human beings, is that when we say something, that we can then go out and do it. Because in some senses, it's what we would expect people that we respect in our lives to do. And so self-respect is kind of necessary. In another sense, if we consistently say things and then knock them out, we not only have self-respect, but we also gain respect from other people. And most of the people watching these videos, I would assume, are some are in some sort of leadership role have the ability to genuinely affect the world around them. And so it falls upon us to teach through our actions. And there's nothing that speaks louder than I said something and it got done. There's really very few people in society that can consistently knock that out. And that, on top of the being wealthy and having good relationships, well, it really is a major portion of having good relationships, right? Having trustworthy people around. So I say all this because, and I'm driving here on these back roads in Ohio that are coming up, and there's lots and lots of construction going on, so I'm very excited about the future for sure in these little places. But I say to you that without a pursuit that is worth your attention, that is worth your responsibility, we are not going to be satisfied. Life requires a little bit of pushing ourselves to, what is it called? And I don't want to spread this message, so I'm going to metaphor this, or I'm going to paraphrase this. Life requires a certain amount of really pursuing something that is difficult in order to feel like we are growing. Like if you've consistently worked out to some capacity, it feels good to go to the gym and actually tear into those weights. And look at this, I'm at this mall right now. I'm actually going to work in the morning, and all these people are out doing some Black Friday shopping. There's a line here out of whatever. So, to each their own. I always say, live life the way that you want to live it. I remember the times in my life that I used to go Black Friday shopping, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. And a part of me is still like, actually there's a very small part of me now, just because I know how much that time is worth and how much that money is worth now. But it's a valuable thing to know where you're at right now and where we want to be. There's a tremendous amount of power in just having a clear vision of our lives. And a lot of it comes down to whatever our definition of societal success is. I was just reading a book, Prometheus Rising, by, I forgot the author's name, but he was talking about how every society has its own standard for what is sexually okay for leaders to do. Well, that applies unanimously based on what is okay to do with socially in public, what is okay to purchase with your money, what is okay to say to people, is to not be hated. And that changes also in what socioeconomic position we're in, because frankly speaking, when you've become sophisticated enough, there's a certain standard around people that consider themselves sophisticated. So our conception of self requires a genuine understanding of which society we are okay with being in, which pocket of human culture we want to subscribe to. It's required, because that makes it so that a dictum, something to subscribe towards, a general way of being, or a general definition to move our lives in. The cool part about this is that if you are someone that genuinely enjoys changing as a human being, there is no better way to force change than to move to a new place that has new cultural norms. It's necessarily something that will require a lot of pondering and a lot of stretching and a lot of adaptation. So, the definitions of things that you ought to do most of the time that I give are based on American culture and American ideals, because I think out of all the countries in the world, this one is one of the more powerful ones. And it's because it represents powerful philosophies in human nature. Now, is it the correct way to go 100% of the time? Not really. But like I said before, it's good to figure something out, genuinely figure something out, and then move on. It's not good enough to just kind of figure something out and not understand all the deeper intricacies of it. You know, there's no level of mastery there that can be applied to another subject, for instance. It's things to think about on a morning when a lot of people are out shopping. You know, if you're out working, what does that mean about you? Does that mean that we are people that are exceptional? Sure. Does it mean that we're assholes because we value material things? Sure. Does it mean that we're virtuous because we're working because we know that our service helps other people? Maybe. You know, it could mean a variety of different things. And we need to understand to some degree what it means through action. We need to understand what it means through action. It is not enough to just sit there and be a flaccid philosopher. We need to actually go and do the shit. So if you made it to this point of the video, I see that you've done the shit. Well, you've watched the philosophy of doing the shit. Now I hope you go do it. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself. I'll see you on the flip.